Good morning, everyone, or good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks for being here. I'm Ari Dodson, cover chief anthropologist and mythologist. And in this live stream, I'm going through some scripture with you and a little bit of history lesson also. I'm going to give in this live stream because I want to explain to you, I want to get through to you why there are times the Heavenly Father refuses the good behavior of the public. All right? Now, first thing first, let me know in the live chat if you can hear me clearly. I'm checking myself too with my mobile phone, but I also want, it will also be better for me to know how you experience it because it's for you I'm making this live stream. I have the knowledge already on ChatGPT, so it's important for you to be able to hear me. So, those are here, just let me know if you can hear me clearly, please. Thank you very much. Okay, if you can't hear me that clearly, that means I'm going to work on the audio now. Hold on a minute. Hold on. All right. Can you hear me better now? Let me know, please. Okay, is it better now? I want to know. Okay. That's why I love to check in the beginning always whether the sound is better or not. Guess something's off with the microphone, but I'll deal with that later on. It's not important right now. Okay. I'm going to share my screen with you. And please let me know immediately whether or not you can see the screen. Okay? Can you see the screen? Let me know, please. Okay. Now, first thing first, there are a lot of things wrong with this map. Because here it talks about the Bantu peoples and all of that, but those came a way bit later in history than this time period. This is 500 BC. That's 2,523 years ago. So the Bantu peoples were not even around that much yet. So, and the term Bantu people was a later term also. So there are things off with this map, but it shows you that in the Andes Mountains in Americas, there were small countries. There was a Maya empire over here. We had the Olmecs around. There is Afro culture, the Olmecs. They're also mixed with the local population. Oh, and by the way, there were people from Europe, Asia, and Africa traveling to the Americas back and forth back then already. Okay, so yeah, the Zapotecs over here, and in Mediterranean, you have Rome, you have the Greek city-states, you have a few kingdoms here and there, and you have Hindu kingdoms, East Asian kingdoms, and the main power in the world was the Achaemenid Empire or the Medo-Persian Empire. All right, you can see over here. This one over here was Carthaginian Empire, but it was also to some extent dominated by the Achaemenid Empire. And why we talk about the Achaemenid Empire is because I'm going to read a portion of scripture with you. Hold on. Ezra chapter 4. And this takes place around this time period over here. Because what I want you to understand was that, hold on, let me go back. The Medo-Persian Empire consists out of two nations that dominate the world. The Medes from Media and the Persians from Persia. Or those were the two main nations dominating the world back then. But it was always a power struggle between the Medes and the Persians. So the empire ran the world, but it was quite unstable from the start. And here you can see Jerusalem was a ruin back then. Since the time of the start of the Babylonian Empire, Jerusalem was a ruin because Jerusalem was destroyed. So Jerusalem was still a ruin, around this time, until under the prophet Nehemiah, they rebuilt the wall of Jerusalem. A lot of the Judeans moved back to their homeland. Now, at the time, Judea was inhabited by all types of foreigners who took advantage of population. So when the Judeans in mass moved back, there was a big fight, but they got their homeland back. But they were still impoverished and they were still politically insignificant. This was about to change because they were rebuilding the Temple of Solomon that was destroyed, and they were also rebuilding the state of Jerusalem altogether. And when you look at the world's map, I mean, you want to make this smaller for you. The majority of the world's population lived in the east, around here. The population, all the way from Greece and Egypt all the way to Japan, is where most of the world's population lived on Earth. The western part of the Earth was thinly populated. So they were not that relevant. But still, this area over here, which we call the Levant, was quite important for trade and for finance. So to have the Judeans going back to their homeland and also rebuild their capital, it would make Judeans relevant again worldwide. But here's the thing, for over 70 to 80 years, since the Babylonian Empire, everyone looked down on the Judeans as the losers, as the people without the homeland, as people who don't have it together. So the whole world now would have to learn to look different at the Judeans. And did people want to look different at them? No. They wanted the Judeans to mean the losers and the people with bad luck, so they always feel good about themselves. Narcissism supply. So when the Judeans were rebuilding their capital, there was a lot of hinder. But let's read about it in Ezra chapter 4. Okay, let's read. Now, when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin, because remember, the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, they merged together, became the Judahites. So Judeans are both the tribe of Judah and Benjamin together. Now, when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity, those were the descendants of those who were scattered. Because when the Babylonian Empire started, 70 to 80 years earlier, only the poorest people were left behind. So there were still Judeans living there with the white poor. The others were scattered. They died, but their descendants now returned. So when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin, adversaries, enemies, hear that the children of the captivity built the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, then they came to Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel was an official. He was a Judean official over there. And to the chief of the fathers, and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your God as you do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither. Now, there's a lie over here. First of all, if they were seeking the Heavenly Father, why didn't they reach out to the Judeans when they were scattered? Why didn't they preserve Jerusalem then, if they were serving the Heavenly Father? Why were they taking advantage of Jerusalem and the broken state of Judean people if they were serving the same God? And Esarhaddon was a king of Assyria that brought big damage to the Judean population. Now, here's the thing. They came to offer help, saying, hey, we're on the same team. We serve the same God. Let's work together. We get this thing done. Let's build a temple. Let's build Jerusalem. Now, remember what I told you. Even back then, with the most of the world's population living around here, this area was still significant for economics and finance. So everyone worldwide benefited from Judeans not having their own homeland and running it. Because in the Achaemenid Empire, each nation had their own homeland, except the Judeans. So all the people that were financially well off at the expense of the Judeans, they were now in trouble. So they were not happy with their own capital being restored. So they came as wolves in sheep's clothing, seeking to help. Now listen to verse 3. But Zerubbabel and Yeshua, And the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, Ye have nothing to do with us. Oh, let's look at this. Ye have nothing to do with us to build a house unto our God, but we ourselves will together will build unto the Lord the God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, had commanded us. They had to back up from the emperor to do this, because the emperor recognized that God's will needs to be done. For then the people of the lands weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building. So they began to hinder them in finishing the project. And they saw nothing yet, and hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose all the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even until the reign of Darius, king of Persia. Hold on a minute. So Cyrus was an emperor who recognized that God is in charge. So he realized, I need to comply with Heavenly Father. Despite Cyrus being pagan himself, he realized he needs to work together with God. Going against God's purpose is not going to happen. So he supported Judah getting back the capital. But the public did not. But the public kept fighting. Now let's go verse 6. In the reign of Ahasuerus, in the beginning of his reign, wrote they unto him an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem. Whoa. So for years, they were rebuilding the capital. The capital was almost finished, despite hinder, and they, for I would say decades, they were hovering it. But here's the thing. They brought an accusation. The accusation don't work. And in the days of Artaxerxes, wrote Bishlam, Mithridates, Tabiel, and the rest of their companions unto Artaxerxes, king of Persia. And the writings of the letter was written in the Syrian tongue, interpreted in the Syrian tongue. Rehum, the chancellor, and Shimshai, the scribe, wrote a letter against Jerusalem to Artaxerxes, the king, in his sword. Okay? Then wrote Rehum, the chancellor, and Shimshai, the scribe, and the rest of their companions, the Denites. You don't have to remember all of this. Elamites are the people, are actually the Persians themselves. So the Babylonians, so all the nations around here also joined the conspiracy. Okay? And the rest of the nation, the great and noble, brought over. Okay, this is another. This is what he wrote. Be it known unto the king that the Judeans which came up from thee to us are come to Jerusalem, building the rebellious and the bad city, and have set up walls thereof, and joined the foundations. Be it known now unto the king that if this city be built, and the walls set up again, then will they not pay toll, tribute, and custom, and so thou shalt damage the revenue of the kings. He's the emperor, the king above the other kings, yet the kings, so mean the local kingdoms over there. Because remember, in the Achaemenid or Medo-Persian Empire, everyone, all these nations, they got along at the expense of the Judeans. So they want to keep it that way. In short, their finances were threatened by the rights of the Judeans. So the Judeans had to be broken down and traumatized so they could take advantage of them. This verse 14. Now, because we have maintained from the king's palace, it was not meet for us to see the king's dishonor. Therefore, have we sent and certified the king, that search may be made in the book of the records of thy fathers. So shalt thou find in the book of the records, and know that this city is a rebellious city, a hurtful unto kings and provinces, and that they have moved sedition within the same of all time, for which cause was the city destroyed. First of all, the city was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar, was the emperor of the Babylonian Empire. It's way before the time they were living in. So this, when the Medo-Persians took over the world, Jerusalem was in waste. The Jerusalem never had a record of being rebellious or anything like that during the time of the Medo-Persians. And even during the Babylonian Empire, there's only one rebellion happened, and they destroyed the city. So this is an exaggeration over here. Verse 16. We certify king that if this city be built again, and the walls are set up, By this means thou shalt have no portion on this side of the river. Then sent the king an answer unto thereon, the chancellor, and all that. This is what the king said. The letter which he sent unto us had been plainly read before me, and I commanded, and I search had been made, and it is found that the city of all time had made insurrection against kings, and that rebellion and sedition have been made therein. There have been mighty kings also over Jerusalem, which have ruled over all countries beyond the river, and told tribute and custom was paid unto them. Give you now commandment to cause these men to cease, and the city be not builded, until another command shall be given from me. Take heed now that you fail not to do this. Why should damage grow to the earth of the kings? Okay, so for a long time they couldn't finish the city. So it's clear over here. This whole world power over here depended on the Judeans being hurt and weakened. And in ancient and long before the Babylonian Empire, yet kings ruling from Jerusalem, think about King David, Solomon, and other kings were quite powerful. So even the emperor back then, Artaxerxes, was afraid that Jerusalem may be restored to its former glory. Because if Jerusalem would be restored to its former glory, all of this world system of east would disappear. So Jerusalem's recovery was a threat to the east of the world. So that's why even the emperor agreed me to stop this. Okay? So the population revolted and the government got along with it. Because the government needed population to be at ease. Okay? And by the way, Jerusalem was known not to take it when others tried to dominate them. Other places got along with being dominated except Jerusalem. So in that case, they were rebellious, but rebellious for good reason. Now, I want you to look at this. People that did not serve God whatsoever pretend to serve God just to hinder the work on behalf of Heavenly Father. Now, in this case, their story doesn't add up. But you know what? In the world, it doesn't matter whether something adds up or not. People want to escape. And because they want to escape, that is why they add up main conspiracies like this. They make a whole conspiracy theory about the restoration of Jerusalem that was not even based on actual threat. Because remember, the Judeans didn't even have a military. They didn't have a military back then. Yet, why were they a threat? Because the view of Judeans as though is what gave narcissistic supply to the world. And the world got along, felt bad about themselves because they were not like the Judeans. So the Judeans had to remain low so that their finance could flow. It's a paranormal shift, a soul for a soul, as Rather explained. Now, let's go to the New Testament now. And let's read into Matthew chapter 25, verse 1 to 12. This is the parable of the 10 virgins, and 5 wise ones and 5 foolish ones. Something Christ said. Let's continue. Jesus said, Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins. Young women were called virgins back then also. So that doesn't have to do whether they had sex or not. Young women were called virgins back then in that culture, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. Quick explanation. Back then, during weddings, it was common to have young women carrying lamps during the night. Oil lamps. And those oil lamps needed olive oil to burn. You put olive oil in the lamp, you put it on fire, and the olive oil begins to burn, and you have light. That's how an oil lamp works. Oil lamps were common back then around Mediterranean. Let's continue verse 2. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. Now hold on. If you take your smartphone, whether it's an iPhone or whether it's an Android or whatever brand it is, you know your iPhone or Android needs to be charged. So you have to charge it with electricity, or else it won't work. A smartphone without electricity is useless. It's just electronic. It's just a metal device. that it uses. So you need to bring your cable to charge it, or you bring a power bank also, or you need at least have your cable with you to charge it at a power point, because without electricity, it won't work. If you have a car, unless it's an electric car, the car needs gasoline. Without gas, the car will not work. Whether it's a car from the 1980s, it's quite old and falling apart, or it's a Bugatti or a limousine, if there's no gas, it won't work. A car without gas is useless. So an oil lamp without olive oil, what the heck? Anyway, let's go to verse 4. But the wives took their oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept, because the groom did not arrive on time, so the wedding couldn't start yet. Sometimes it happened back then, because remember, distances. It took a little while to travel, because you had no trains, no cars, no airplanes, none of that. You also didn't have Wi-Fi, nor the internet, nor smartphones, nor social media communicate. So sometimes it would take like a day or 2 or 3 later before someone arrived. So sometimes we had to wait. And it happened. Here. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the groom cometh, go ye out to meet him. And all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. Okay? But the wise are saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather them that sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went out to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. And others came also to other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Okay. Now think about this. You know a wedding is coming. The wedding may take a bit, you may have to wait till the wedding starts. Your role is to carry your lamps during the night. How the heck do you have your lamp with you but not oil with you? And now that what you do all the time? You know you should get oil. Why don't you go and buy oil and ask for oil? No, you just stay without oil, knowing that a lamp cannot work without oil. And now the time is there for them to shine. Now the women that had no oil wanted to take away from those who had. But guess what? Those who had oil had had enough oil for the lamps to keep burning. If they would give some of their oil to those who had none, they would be in trouble too. So all of them would be in the dark. So those that did not get their olive oil on time, they were missing out. And now, instead of saying, you know what, ask the bridegroom to wait on us. We had trouble. We're going to get oil now. Instead of doing that, take responsibility. He said, give us some of your oil. They didn't even ask. He said, just give us some of your oil. They know very well if they got some of the oil from those other women, all lamps would burn out very quickly. So all of them would miss out. That's the character of a lot of people in the world, because they missed out by own neglect. Now they want you to succeed, because if you succeed, it makes them look bad. And because they want to look bad, they want to bring you down with them in their misfortune. Okay? So we have to be wise in not allowing this to happen. Now, before I continue, do you see the connection between this parable and the history of the restoration of Jerusalem? Do you see the connection between the two? Let me know the live chat, please. Let me know in the live chat. Think about it. Cyrus, the emperor of the Middle Persian Empire, he recognized the Heavenly Father. He could command people to work to build Jerusalem. Why didn't the public get along and also obey Christ? If they all would have obeyed Christ, the whole world would have benefited. But no, they don't want to benefit on God's terms. They want to benefit on their terms so they can continue to escape. And this is when you understand what worldlings. Worldlings don't operate in love. They operate in self-preservation. Worldlings all about interest. And interest and your well-being are not the same thing. An interest is just an advantage you want to get. It's just an advantage you want to get out of something. You get me? So your long-term well-being and your self-interest are not the same thing. Self-interest is all about an advantage you want to get out of something. For example, someone that has mental stress and they want to escape by smoking cigarettes. Having a liquor store thereby the sell cigarettes is in their self-interest because now they can escape the mental stress by smoking. But is that self-interest their long-term well-being? No, because for their long-term well-being, they have to stop smoking and deal with their mental stress. Another thing, let's say someone has a job, and because of that, they can pay rent. Having that job is a practicality that serves the self-interest, but this interest will harm in the long run. So an interest is just an advantage you get out of something. An interest can also be good. For example, let's say you love to swim. You move into a place with a beach. Hey, that's in your interest because now you can swim. So an interest doesn't have to be negative. An interest is just an advantage you get out of something. But an interest isn't automatically in harmony with your long-term well-being. Worldlings don't care that much about the long-term well-being. They just want their interest to be gratified. So politics are all about interest. It's not about the long-term well-being. All right? Now, remember this. Now let's go to Luke chapter 14. Jesus gave a few parables over here. I'm going through them one by one. Okay? Ready? Let's read. And it came to pass, as he, that's Jesus, went into the house of one of the chief Pharisees to eat bread on the Sabbath day, that he watched him. Okay, so they were focused on him with the wrong intent. And behold, there was a certain man before him which had dropsy. So the man had the disease. Hold on a minute. So there's a feast going on. The people are invited. It's a social event. They have a man over there with the disease, but nobody pays attention to the man with the disease. All focus on Jesus. Whereas she should be focused on Jesus, but hold on a minute. They were focused for the wrong reasons. They were not Christ-centered. They were just upset with Jesus and hoped they could find something to use against him. And this guy had a disease, and they didn't even care about the guy. I mean, Jesus was known to heal people. Why didn't they tell me, Jesus, this guy over here, he needs help him out, please? No, look, they didn't even care about the guy that had a disease. So understand this. Some people talk about Jesus and even claim to be believers, but it's all for the wrong reasons. And you can be there, and you're in need, and you can care about you. Verse 3. And Jesus answered and spake unto the lawyers and Pharisees. There were even lawyers over there, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? Hey, people that then believed on the Sabbath shouldn't do any labor whatsoever. And they held their peace. And he took him, who's him, the man who had the disease, and healed him and let him go. And Jesus answered them, saying, which of you shall have an ass or an ox fall into a pit, and will not straightway pull him out on the Sabbath day? And they could not answer him again on these things. It's common sense. If you have an animal, because back then they used animals for transportation. It was a horse, whether it was an ox, or it was an ass. And as Shane will say, a donkey. Now, ass and donkey are not the same, but they're similar. Because if that animal dies, you have no way to transport yourself or your goods. So it's common sense. If you have an animal that's in your care and they fall into a pit, that you will rescue the animal. So if you would rescue your animal that you use to transport cargo or yourself, if you rescue that animal, how come there's a human being, one of your own, amongst you with disease, and not even willing to find a solution for him? Okay, let's go to verse 7. And he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, and he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them, when thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thou be bidden of him. And he that bade thee at him come and say to thee, give this man place, and thou wilt begin with shame to take the lowest room. But when they are bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room, that when he that bid thee cometh, he may say unto the friend, go up higher, then shalt thou have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with thee. For whosoever exalt himself shall be abased, and he that humble himself shall be exalted. A lot of churches misuse this, saying that you shouldn't think you're something. Think you're something is not pride. It's not arrogance. You should think you're something. Think you're nothing is mental illness. But what Jesus was saying is, listen, in this world, people are obsessed with control. The whole idea of inviting people itself is a form of wanting to show leverage over others. Because if it's a wedding, why can't everyone come? I mean, that sexual union will be there in the community anyway. So why can't the whole community come? It's because it's not about celebrating the sexual union. It's about control. Most weddings are political, as I explained in the live stream a while ago. So Christ is saying, if you're invited somewhere, ask yourself, why are you invited? Why do they want you there? Sometimes people invite you not because they want you there, but out of necessity, just because they have something to prove. Okay? So Christ wants us to be aware of this. Because if people invite you with a specific expectation and you exceed that expectation, they try to correct that by trying to put boundaries on you. So Christ is saying, just lay down when you're invited somewhere and see how people treat you. Then Jesus gave the following instruction, listen. Then said he also unto him that bade him. So he's talking to the one that invited him, of the chief Pharisee. He told the one that invited him, when you make a dinner or a supper, don't call your friends, no brethren, nor your kinsmen, nor your rich neighbors. Let it also invite you, and a recompense be made to you. But when you make a feast, call the poor, the meek, the lame, and the blind. And you will be blessed, for they cannot recompense thee. For thou shalt be recompensed at the resurrection of the just. First, I'm going to read the following. Then I'm going to comment on this. Hold on. Verse 15. And one of them that sat at meat with him heard these things. He said unto him, blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of God. Then said he, as Jesus unto him, a certain man made a great supper, and baked many. Great suppers. It was a great celebration. And first we talked about the wedding, not just about the great supper. Now, weddings had great suppers back then. Okay? So, hold on. Where am I again? Okay. Then said unto him, a certain man made a great supper and baked many, and set his servants at supper time to say to them that were bidden, come, all things are now ready. So he invited people, and the people agreed to come. So when everything was ready, everyone could join, he said, hey, come, it's ready. Remember, back then in the 1st century AD, you had to travel long distances to go to people's houses. Okay? Cities were not that concentrated as they are today. And he sent his servants at the supper time saying to them, come, all things are around ready. And all the people were invited with one consent began to make excuse. The first said unto him, I bought a piece of ground, and I must need go and see it. I pray thee have me excused. Another one said, I bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I had go to prove them. I pray thee have me excused. Another one said, I've married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. Luke is really excuse over here. First of all, if you buy a piece of land, it can wait before you inspect your land. First of all, should you have inspected the land before you bought it? Okay, let's do the other excuse. I bought 5 yokes of oxen. I need to go improve them. Hold on a minute. Shouldn't you check the animals before you buy them? Now said, I've married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. Hold on a minute. You just got married, and so you are invited to a feast, a great feast. Is that the prime time to show everyone, hey, I'm married, look how happy I am? So even this excuse didn't add up. Verse 21. So that servant came and shewed his lord these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said his servants, go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring hither the poor and the maimed and the halt and the blind. And the servant said, Lord, it is done as thou hast commanded, yet there is room. And Lord said unto the servant, go out into the highways and hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. For I say unto you, none of those men which were bidden shall taste my supper. Okay, so understand this. Christ was saying, in this world, people operate based on interest, not based on their long-term well-being. Because of interest, people tend to please those around them and forget about all the other people. And Christ saying, think about those other people too. You're not in contact with those other people. You're not in direct relations with them, but you have to consider them too. And Christ is actually showing here is that often the people that you expect to reciprocate you won't do it. Because remember, Jesus says, if you want to have a big party or a big feast, invite those who are left out by the community. Why? Those people can't pay you back because they have nothing. They are left over to the community. But here's the thing, if you invite your friends, your family, and the rich folks, why do you do that? You hope to get some benefit out of it. But what if the benefit doesn't come? Now you're disappointed and you could punish of you. Haven't you know? And who are the ones that complain about friends, family, and the wealthy folks around them? Or people that depend on, for example, employer. What Jesus is showing us that in the world, everyone wants to be there and they to get the benefit. When it's time for them to give or to invest, a lot of people come with excuses. That's what Christ was saying here. Now let's continue. Okay. And after Jesus left that feast, a great multitude came to him. And he told the multitude, because there were a lot of people, a big crowd that came out to Jesus. And in public, he told all those people to the big crowd, if any man or woman come to me and hate not his father and his mother and his wife and children and brethren and sisters, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. Hold on a minute. In Hebrew culture, if you preferred one above the other, the one you preferred less was considered hatred. For example, let's say I go to a restaurant and I want to buy ice cream. Let's say there's chocolate ice cream and vanilla ice cream available. Let's say I choose the vanilla ice cream instead of chocolate. The people say you hate chocolate. Do I really hate chocolate? No, it's just that I prefer the vanilla. So hating something in ancient Hebrew language was also symbolic for you prefer something else. You know what I mean? For example, the ancient Hebrews had obsession with fear. So they would say, if, for example, if there was a foreign speaker coming, and I would put everything aside to go and visit that foreign speaker speaking, they would say you fear that speaker. Or let's say you're married and you just want to spend some time with your wife. They say you fear your wife. Do you really are afraid of your wife? No, it means you don't want to miss out time with her or with something. So the fear of the Lord simply means you don't want to miss out anything that God is doing. Okay? So he doesn't talk about literally hating the people around you. Okay? Verse 27. And whosoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For bearing a cross meant being crucified. Crucified was a formed ritual in ancient times, invented by the Greeks and enacted by the Romans in mess. Crucifixion was a sexual humiliating ritual in which you kill someone in a sexually humiliating way to the public. So when he talked about bearing the cross, a lot of people thinking, whoa, this is very serious. Verse 28. For which of you, intending to build a tower, sit not down first and count the costs, whether you have sufficient to finish it, lest happily after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold began to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Verse 31. For what king going to make war against another king sit not down first and consult whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him and come against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, send an embassage and decide condition of peace. So likewise, whosoever be of you that forsaketh not all that he hath cannot be my disciple. Salt is good, but the salt hath lost its flavor is safer. Wherewith shall it be seasoned? It is neither fit for the land, nor yet for the dunghill. Men shall cast it out. He that has an ear to hear, let him hear. So what Christ was saying is, look, this world operates on self-interest, always trying to get an advantage out of something. And people seldom care whether the advantage is going to benefit them or not. So worldlings are self-destructive in the long run. So while you're dealing with these people, you need to know what you're dealing with. You need to have a practical attitude. So Christ made plain over here. Once you do his will, the power will turn on you. So you must be ready to deal with them turning on you and be ahead of it. Go back to the example of the Old Testament. The world turned on the Judeans when they were building their capital. And they were even halted for a short period of time, but eventually they completed it. Well, understand, just like the world around them turned on them, they were building Jerusalem. You have the world around you turning on you too when you are breaking through and doing the will of God. Absolutely. So, Christ said that many shall be offended in the end times. Let me go over there with you. Okay. First, and then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another, and many false prophets shall arise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of men shall wax cold. Hold on. Why are many offended in these end times? Because they figure out very quickly that there is no such thing as being blessed and having long-term good outcomes without you being better yourself. You cannot have long-term good outcomes without you being of better quality yourself. So there is no amnesty without compliance with justice. And society is all about taking advantage. Society is all about taking advantage and escaping. But when advantage wears out or backfires, now they want victims to offload upon. So with believers, society just wants to take advantage of your anointing. Just like you had those those bridesmaids who had lamps without oil. You have oil, they want to take away from you to hinder you too. All right? But look at this. People make excuses. Excuses that don't even add up. In the parable, Jesus said, all those that made excuses will not benefit from the suffering. But this is what Heavenly Father is doing in your life now. And listen well to me. The Heavenly Father is chasing away people that shouldn't be around you. A lot of people do not want to comply with justice and become better and safe human beings. They just want to continue to escape. And because it's not in their self-interest to attack you or to fight you, that's why they want it to get ease with you so they can take advantage of you. And you know what Heavenly Father is doing? God wants them to come down towards you, but God is not going to allow them to benefit off of you without them turning to Him, because they should live off of God. Every human being is meant to live at God's expense, because He's Lord. Nobody should live at your expense. In the world, people live at the expense of victims. That's how the parasitical world is started. They live at the expense of victims. If you are a believer, they're going to do the same to you, even worse than do the scapegoats. And God is making plain, no. You either comply with justice and you live off of me, or you stay accursed and you perish. One of the two. And you're not allowed to stay accursed and perish, so you submit to me and you benefit from me directly. That's what God is saying. You can't get benefits from that belief over there, but you rely on me. That's God's justice.
Worldlings and a bunch of unbelieving believers, they want to leech off of believers that walk by faith. And God is making it clear, okay, I will allow you guys to have some benefits from these people that follow me, but if you go too far and begin to exploit them, you're in trouble with me. Simple as that. And that's why a lot of people in these end times get so offended, because they were raised with pagan Christianity telling them that they have a right to be negative. They have a right to go whatever they will. They have a right to be unstable. And that believers have just put up with it. But here's the thing, when believers only walk by faith and the public cannot just take advantage of them, the public, they go nuts. Just like in the book of Ezra, when he couldn't hinder the Judeans from rebuilding their capital, because they wanted to hinder the reconstruction of the temple in Jerusalem, so that Judeans would not be economically and financially powerful. They want to keep the Judeans down so that they could live up to them. When the public realizes that it doesn't succeed anymore, or they can't get away with it, now they lose their mind. They go zombie mode. And once the public goes zombie mode, it's a dangerous situation. That's why in this case, the emperor of Middle Persia agreed with the public, because he knew these people are going nuts now. So understand this. Worldlings don't want to be cold. They don't want to be abundant to full misery. They don't want full anarchy where everyone explodes one another. They don't want that. But they also don't want to comply with justice and be of good quality. They just want peace. They just want to escape, but want to be built out from the damage of escape by draining those who are blessed. That's what worldlings want. Worldlings by default are lukewarm. Only the fierce psychopaths are cold. Only the fierce psychopaths are cold. The rest of the worldlings are all lukewarm. And this lukewarm is something that Father does not approve of. You don't comply, you perish as a reprobate. Or you comply and you well off for eternity. There is no in between escaping, but then when damage accumulates, you throw the damage on victims and you continue. It's not going to happen. Okay, it's been almost an hour since I've been in this live stream. Is it clear to you now why God often declines the good behavior of the public? Is it clear to you now? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. Hold on. Look, there's nothing wrong with people behaving well, okay? But people can behave well out of necessity. That doesn't mean that they're of good quality. Even psychopaths know how to behave to avoid trouble or get something out of someone. Scam artists know how to be at their best behavior. Just understand, just because the public is showing kindness and compassion onto you does not mean they actually mean it or that they're in agreement with it. When you walk by faith, it's going to happen that a lot of people are going to be at their best behavior around you just to bail themselves out of the damage they've accumulated. Sometimes God will allow you to build them out of the kindness of God's heart. But there comes a point God says enough. It's not going to continue forever. You need to comply too. I'm telling you, a lot of people out there will even fake being godly believers. They'll even fake being saints. Why? Because they either want to avoid a bad outcome that they brought on themselves or the community brought on them, or they just want to get something out of you. that can't get otherwise without being good terms with you. I'm not saying that everyone who's at their best behavior wants to exploit you or wants to take advantage of you. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not true either. But a lot of people will be like that. So beware of it. If you notice that something's off with someone, leave their presence peacefully. Don't cast them out. Don't call them out. None of that. Just peacefully leave their presence and move away. Simple. That's what you do. If they don't honor God, how do you think they're going to honor you? If they don't treat God well, how do you think they're going to treat you well? All right. Look, the public always comes with excuses to continue to escape. And when the public's at their best behaviors, only an agenda. Am I saying that you should rather have people attack you all the time? No. If people are at their best behavior, it's also in your benefit. But it doesn't mean that the situation is a good situation. Don't stay in a bad situation just because people are at their best behavior. Let me repeat that. Don't stay in a bad or toxic situation just because people are at their best behavior. Because listen, a demon that behaves is still a demon. A wolf wearing sheep's clothing is still a wolf. Bad people behaving at their best are still bad people. Unless they comply with Christ and improve, become better as human beings, they're still of low quality. So even their best behavior will be tainted. Now, if people treat you better, be happy. I don't think you should wish all people treat you worse. No. If people treat you better, be happy. But realize a lot of people treat you better, especially in public, just get sympathy from other people. Okay, let's say someone ignored you or treated you horrible for the past 10 years. And suddenly on your birthday in public come and congratulate you with gifts. Why are they doing that? Because they want to win favor from other people. If you decline their gifts, it's going to make you look bad. So they're blackmailing you. They use your kindness and your reputation against you just to build themselves out. That's what they're doing. Now the public can figure out that that's what they're doing, but the public gets long with it because the public doesn't want to face this. Look, if the community did you wrong, or the community neglected you for so long and suddenly very kind towards you, it's because they want to do public kindness for themselves to do good, often at your expense. If you decline their help, because you know that the help is a trap, they're going to make you look bad and play the victim. And the public will often get along with it because they don't want to face the fact of dealing with creeps like that. Listen, that's why God often blocks certain people from you. Some people want to approach you, but God is blocking them. There are even holy angelic beings warning them not to get close to you because God knows they just want to make you look bad to build themselves up. Their best behavior is not because they're good quality. It's just if they can put on the best behavior, then they know they should become better human beings. If they're not willing to become better human beings, it means they're just narcissistic exploiters, simple as that. So that's why sometimes God will sometimes when people refuse to help you out, it's God doing it. God doesn't want them to help you out because them helping you out will make things worse on you in the long run. Sometimes God will put you through more difficulty just that when you come out, He gets the credit and none of those toxic and bad people have a leverage over you. Because if people help you out, they always have that as a leverage over you later on. If they're good people, who cares? If they're godly people, who cares if a leverage over you helping out? So be it. But if they're bad people, toxic people, or neglectful people, they should never have this leverage over you that they help you out. That's why the art times God will block people from helping you out. Because they only will help you out just to use it against you later on. Or sometimes you have good people who want to help you out. But because those good people are compromised by society, God will not allow them to help out. Sometimes good people with good hearts want to help out, and God will say no. God will make sure the help not even never reaches you. Why? Because those good people, if they are good quality, they're sabotaged by society. So society can use those good quality people to hinder you. If someone is not in agreement with Christ, they can be hijacked or sabotaged by the world. So even people of good quality with good hearts can be sabotaged by the world if they're not Christ-centered. So sometimes even good people are denied from you by the Heavenly Father. So learn to discern. Just because someone is a good human being does not automatically mean they're good for you. Oh, let me repeat this. Just because a human being is of good quality doesn't mean they're automatically good for you. If that human being is so compromised by false doctrine of church, then them and the good qualities are being wasted because they're being taken advantage of. If a human being of good quality is being taken advantage of by society, they become a portal of society to hinder you too. So learn to accept that sometimes when you don't get the help you need or people fail you, it's God trading it behind the scenes to keep you safe long term. Is this all clear onto you? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. Is it clear to the rest? Also, let me know in the live chat. Let me know, please. Unless you're driving a car. If you're driving a car, please pay attention to the road. Please don't type, don't text. Let's do the live stream. Pay attention to the road. Thank you very much. If you're driving. I don't want to hear that any of my subscribers got in a car accident because will listen to my live. No, no, no. You can listen to the live with audio. Pay attention to the road, please. Thank you very much if you're driving. Okay. So be it. That's clear. Thank you all for being here. Keep it clear in Christ. And I'll see you next live stream. Shalom.